Where are they? Where are they? All right, good morning, everyone. Let's get going. Okay. Last night's session on the S&P, you can obviously see there we made a bit of a reversal kind of toward the end of the day. Bottom line is, we did break to new all-time highs on an intraday basis on the S&P and the Nasdaq and the Dow. I believe markets breaking to all-time highs kind of across the board. We traded all-time highs here locally at one point yesterday. We traded to all-time highs, I think, after we closed in London. We closing highs in London yesterday, I believe. Closing highs or all-time highs and a few other a lot of stocks as well. So I think very bullish what was happening. One thing I think is we did reverse below the resistance levels at 1850 to close below 1850 on the S&P. So I think it was really significant. What was definitely leading the charge yesterday was the tech space, and the stocks that have been hot continued to be hot. We had Tesla, we had Google, and we had Facebook, all which traded and closed to all-time highs yesterday. And I think it's really significant because those have been the major leaders in the game. I mean, even after Facebook's $19 billion acquisition of WhatsApp, I mean, the thing just continues to run. I think last night it closed with a market cap of around $180 billion. So we've had just an incredible run out of all of these counters. We continue to see these things pushing out higher and pushing to all-time highs. And so long as those leaders are still hanging in there, I think the market's going to hang in there. So those are some other leading indicators that I think we're going to be able to start to watch. Some of the hot stocks in the tech space in the States that will be able to give us some forward guidance on what's going to happen in the market. All right, last night in Asia, we were up mostly. We did have Aussie, which was down a scrap. China has actually finished down 1.75% on the day, which is telling. I mean, it's another day where we kind of just collapsed sort of toward the end of the day, and it's on a day where the markets are hanging in there quite nicely. The Nikkei had a solid rally last night. Even with the yen not really doing a whole lot, not able to weaken a whole lot. So I think, obviously just following on the back of the rest of the global equity markets. There are reports in China that lenders have stopped issuing credit to property developers, and I think that, like I said, we've been talking about this. I keep beating on this one. I keep mentioning it. It feels like there's, that there are problems in China. China just can't rally under any circumstances at the moment. There's so many rumors about shadow banking, defaults, all kinds of things going on there. We saw what the property numbers were yesterday, and those could actually be something that leads the charge a little bit. And if you didn't see last week was actually the worst week for the Chinese yuan since 2011. So very, very important. I think what's going on right now in China. We'll continue to monitor that one closely. All right. This morning we had Avenge that was out with numbers. We had headline earnings per share came in at 82 cents. The guidance on the recent trading statement was at 81 cents, so maybe a kind of more or less in line from that, but a miss from prior expectations. But the revenue number seems like quite a good number. I'm not sure if there's a once-off in there or not. Today at the opening bell, we're going to get ShopRite. We're looking for, I think that number that we're looking at there is Bloomberg consensus. That's actually not as up to date as the most recent trading statement, so I would actually kind of ignore that. And then later in the States, we've got Home Depot. Also this morning, Aspen was upgraded, or sorry, they weren't upgraded, they were rated for the first time a new buy at Jefferies as of this morning. Jefferies typically can be quite a market mover when it gets involved on the rating side. All right. Market data out this morning. We've got German GDP out at 9 o'clock. We've also got SA leading indicators at the opening bell as well. We've got French manufacturing confidence. We got Spanish PPI. We've got Italian retail sales. We've got local GDP at 11:30. Keep an eye on that one. We've got consumer confidence in Italy, and then we've got consumer confidence in the States as well as the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index. All right, let's get into the maps. All right. Last night's action I think was quite important. Like I said, on the S&P, we're just going to have a quick look at that. I'll zoom in a little bit. But even without zooming in, you can see the wick there. We were breaking out to a point. I'm a close guy, so I don't. That means nothing to me. It has to close above, which it didn't. We definitely failed at the 1850 level. So we failed. We weren't able to get above the 1850 level. And if we can't get above there in the next couple of days, I wouldn't be surprised to see us pull back. I think we've got to get over that level in the next day or two in the States. Otherwise, I would expect us to pull back because people will look at that as a real failure. All right. Like we said, we had Facebook, Tesla, Google all closing at record highs. So just be wary of those stocks in the similar type sectors. The next one I wanted to show was the Rand. You can see this morning, I don't know why the charts do this, but that's actually yesterday's session where we closed last night in the States, and then this is the same bar, I think, but where we're actually currently trading. So maybe ignore the last one. Bottom line is we're obviously flagging out here on the Rand. We continue to punch through. We moved through 1080 last night, and we got to 1075 actually before the U.S. market started to correct. What I think is important here is that we're continuing to sort of shape up here in the Rand. We're getting a reasonable bounce. This pattern is still looking very bearish, obviously, but I think nevertheless, I think this is one that'll probably come down here and going to correct down closer to the 1065 level. At least, we may even get even closer to lateral support, closer down to 1050. But I wouldn't be looking for a whole lot more than that in the near term. And we saw also on the back of that, we saw the banks rallying on the back of the Rand strength and on the back of Nedbank's much better than expected numbers. We had a little bit of relief in the retail space. So, we're going to continue to watch this one going forward. But I think it's really important when we see happening here in the Rand and how it really affected adversely the miners yesterday on a local exchange. And if the Rand strength continues, we may continue to see some selling in the mining space and some buying into some of the more interest rate sensitive stocks. All right. On the back of that, those Nedbank numbers, we saw obviously First Rand, which popped up through all forms of resistance. Well, not all forms, but yeah, mostly forms. And we saw the same thing with the other stocks. We saw Standard Bank do the same. We know how big the 120 level is. Managed to pop up beautifully through that and close all the way up at 124.12. What a huge rally in stocks like Standard Bank and First Rand yesterday. Nedbank obviously got above that level we talked about yesterday at 204. It never looked back. It literally opened right at 204 and just never looked back. And the longer term flag pattern, which we're still going to be looking for a higher target. The reason why I'm showing all those is because Um, we're gonna have a look at the dog here, and this one obviously could potentially be the next one to go. I think people will just stop paying attention to this. I think it's probably under-owned, and I think if it gets through 135, then it can probably get a little giddy up. So if we get above 135 and BGA, just watch it closely today. I think it probably will run. Like I said, I think that it's probably very under-owned. Obviously, it's underperformed the sector slightly due to earnings, but the earnings weren't that bad when they came out recently anyway. So just watch that one above 135. I think you can look to own Barclays and maybe play a little bit of catch up to the sector. All right, SA Breweries yesterday, after we closed, geez, had a hell of a run in London. I think it pushed up about 1.5% in London after we closed, which is a huge move. The FTSE did rally probably 30 or 40 points into the close. But, we did come up intraday here. You can see on the wick, if I zoom forward a little bit, you can obviously already see how significant that 520 level is, which we talked about going back almost a year now. We traded up there intraday, kind of came off and really failed that level, it looked like. And then last night, obviously, we had that huge rally out of London. So, apparently this one's getting reweighted in the FTSE index, and that's one of the reasons for the big buying that winds down today. So I think a lot of people probably will run ahead of it. Just keep that in mind. 520 might be a decent little level to pop in a short on SA Brews if you're a believer in the Rand story. All right, and then the last one I'm going to show is Imperial. Incredible rally yesterday, I think up around 4%. This thing's just been all over the show. Has had some huge moves, and really we haven't had a close outside this 160 to 170 band, and call it the better part of a month. So if we can get above 170, I think Imperial you can actually finally own. So just watch it closely. Had a big day move yesterday. Wouldn't be surprised to see a second day play in it today. If there's nothing else to hold it back. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.